decoded many a word salad thrown around willy-nilly by the Meg. And there's one that really has been standing out to me recently. It's her brand spanking new obsession with talking about play. She's saying things like, it's been great to be able to just play. Harry feels so happy seeing me play. I get to play. Blah, blah, blah. She's been saying it a lot. And at first I was just like, yeah, nonsense as per usual, Meg. She is no stranger to saying weird stuff. That makes little to no sense. But then I realized that she is launching a spin, you guys. A spin to As Ever and With Love Meghan's failure. This whole play narrative is an angle to take those failures and spin them into something far less serious and certainly not important. Meghan has been using play when referring to With Love Meghan and As Ever very, very recently. She wasn't previously, but now she is all of a sudden. She's used this new verbiage within the last couple of months, and it was very much a change. And so it caught my attention the third time I heard her use the phrase, because Meg is very repetitive. I can be repetitive too, as many of you have let me know. But when she uses the same phrase more than 3 times, there's a reason. She is trying to send the message or paint the picture in your mind that With Love Meghan and As Ever are Meghan's version of playing. Now, of course, there is a very out-of-touch element to this that we just need to address before we move forward. What she's communicating is that she is so privileged and so wealthy and so just has all these opportunities thrown at her feet that she can make a show or a business, a whole entire business and show, just to play, not take it seriously, because she has enough money and enough opportunities and time to throw away that massive losses and sunk costs and all of that are no big deal to her. You know, a multi-million-dollar playtime pretending to be a CEO and homemaker guru or whatever, or play pretend Martha Stewart session, okay, is what she's doing. And it costs millions and millions of dollars. And who cares? She can do that. And she can do that, choose to do that, instead of being useful or helpful or just donating that money instead of wasting it on a stupid vanity project and loose spread. Gross. Okay? She can just do that, and it's just a big play pretend session for her. It's just sandbox time for the Meg. So that out of touch element to it is, worth acknowledging. But really what she's trying to do here is to contextualize As Ever and With Love Meghan as her playtime, because then when it fails, as it is predicted to, and the trajectories are showing, then she can push it away from herself and be like, well, I never really cared about it or took it seriously or tried that hard. It was just for funsies. Ignore the Meg saying that jam is her passion project and that she's been an entrepreneur since middle school selling scrunchies and all the other horse hockey that she's been spewing this year about putting something meaningful into the world. No. These play comments are seeds that her project's failures will water. And she can say it was never very serious and it was all just for fun and no big deal, whether it fails or not. It was never serious anyway. It was just for fun. It was just for play. So who really cares? It allows her ego and, in her mind, then her image, the way she perceives her public image, not like how it's actually perceived to the real world, but the way Meghan views her public image to be perceived. It makes it seem like she wasn't taking any of it seriously anyway. And if she had, then of course it would succeed. But that's not what she was doing. She was just doing a fun little side quest, a little pleasure project, something that tickled her fancy for a few months, and whoosh, the CEO, meaningfulness, and brave liquid spread selling motherhood narrative was just like a fever dream. It never happened in Meg's mind, and it didn't matter because she was just playing like in the sandbox. So when it fails, it's no big deal. No big deal. Well, isn't that nice? Now that it's all failing, Meghan wants us to know that it wasn't that serious. She's really just avoiding being embarrassed by the failures. By As Ever failing and With Love Meghan already failing, she's pushing away the normal shame or reputation damage by minimizing the entire thing, which will also inevitably prohibit her from learning from her experience as well. Because if you're not honest about your experience, you're not honest about mistakes that you made, or you're not objective, then you'll never learn or grow. So the problem goes beyond just this. It has bigger implications too. But it doesn't matter that this is in direct contradiction to everything else that we've heard from her this year. These two things, these two concepts do not go together, and they cannot coexist. You can't not take something seriously and it be playtime and have it be an earnest project that you want props for and have your children view you as brave for pursuing. These two things are completely different energy and concepts and approaches and ethos. But you know what else? It highlights the farcical nature of all of her interviews and publicity this year. We had the Time 100 thing. Okay, let's take a moment to appreciate the size of these GMPs. They are out of control. And the Fortune interview, plus 2 podcasts, the Bloomberg interview, multiple print interviews, including Fast Company, People Magazine, and Harper's Bazaar. Just how strange. Let's take a pit stop here to acknowledge how weird it is to have someone whose business is in its infancy and small food goods like liquid spread, honey, and tea. Somebody who that's their business, this small little collection of these things, having any interviews about it at all is just totally bizarre on its own. It's not like the Meg had an innovative idea or some sort of creative new business concept or developed an app that became a sensation or anything of the sort, or was like sourcing from local people or lifting up other businesses while she did it. Nothing newsworthy about As Ever or With Love Meghan. And yet she had this huge publicity push this year for it. That on its own was weird and suspicious. This was a really small-scale venture that was not newsworthy in any way, shape, or form. Let me put it this way. 0 food good CEOs participated in any of the same interviews or publicity this year as Meghan did. There were 0 other people at these conferences or doing these interviews that sold a small collection of jams or honeys. No one else in that industry was doing these types of publicity things. So she was the only CEO of a business that was consumables for all of these interviews that she did. And that's because it's just not the type of business that people tend to care to hear more about the people behind it, unless it's massively successful or incredibly innovative. And As Ever and With Love Meghan are neither. So the publicity push was already out of place and bizarre on its own, but what's now clear is that Meghan was just trying the old fake it till you make it theory. She was trying to make As Ever and With Love Meghan look like successes by having lots and lots of publicity, most of it paid for, all of it requested and sought after and pursued by Meghan's team, none of it initiated by the organizations or publications themselves. Meghan's plan was to have this huge publicity push to try to make her projects appear as big deals, as super successful, and get the attention on it, all in hopes of actually creating success out of thin air. She thought that she could just package them as big cheese and they'd magically become it, no matter the substance. It's about the optics for her, which is ironic because she complained that she felt the palace staff cared more about the optics than how things felt. So that's kind of funny and ironic because she seems to care more about how things look than how things actually are or actually feel. But for consumables especially, but for business in general, even shows, TV shows and content creation, it turns out that the substance actually does matter. I mean, especially with food goods, because it needs to actually taste nice and not have a gross texture. Without substance behind your products, you won't succeed, as Meg has so aptly demonstrated this year. So it's not just that all of this publicity this year was an attempt to manipulate and manufacture the appearance of success, but it highlights just how disingenuous she's been to now just be like, just kidding, it was all just for play. And it's the same sort of intention behind the whole blaming everything she does on someone else, that every single project has been someone else's idea. The Bench, not a kid's book, by the way, was multiple friends who kept telling her that this poem that she wrote for Harry for his first Father's Day was so inclusive that it needed to be a book. Here's the context. They were living in the UK, and Meg claims that she was isolated there. So who was she showing this poem to in the first place? But also, why? Who is showing a poem that you wrote for your spouse for their Father's Day or Mother's Day to everybody who comes over? Like, that's kind of odd. I'd love to know how that came up. Is it framed? Does she just show people like a kid showing their report card? Kids, you should show off your report cards if you get good grades. That's a vibe just for you, though. I think it's weird that Meghan claims multiple people somehow saw this Father's Day poem and demanded she make it into a book. The Netflix series. Friends told them they should talk to streamers and told them that they should document things. And Tyler Perry was involved in that somewhere along the way, giving them ideas. The flop, formerly known as American Riviera Orchard Montecito, as ever. Let's see, we've heard a few versions of events, but the one that stands out to me was the absolutely unfathomable coinky-dink that multiple friends texted her at the same time one morning that her jam she had gifted them over the holidays made them so happy. Sure, that totally happened. And so, of course, the Meg had to make it a whole entire business. With Love Meghan, that was some random lady at Netflix screaming at the Meg, there's a show here. Or maybe it was like whisper screaming, fake screaming, I don't know. The Meg recounted this riveting tale. She did this fake screaming thing, which I just can't abide. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Maybe the lady actually screamed at her. I don't know. But somebody screamed or fake screamed that there's a show there while reveling in the liquid spread that Meghan had brought her. So we have that lady and her enthusiasm, her aggressive enthusiasm to thank for With Love Meghan. Ugh. Her next project of fashion and or makeup. It's going to be a train wreck. It's not just that she's doing a classic narcissistic character acquisition of Emma Grede, who is a very successful fashion entrepreneur, and Victoria Jackson or Jamie Kern-Lima, who are both very successful in cosmetics. It's not just that Meghan is like, I'm going to take some of these character traits for myself now. No, it's not just that. It's also that Meghan claims, according to the Meg, that people in general, the public, associate her with beauty and fashion. No matter that absolutely no one agrees with this, she is lining it up that she can just blame vague general people for her next failure. Every single thing that Meghan has done, this pattern is so very well established at this point. She shoves it off as someone else's ideas, and she's been doing it for forever. Not even just for projects that she does. She does it for little things, like she blamed the royal family for her beige, boring wardrobe instead of just being like, I like neutrals. What the heck is it to you? It's my clothes, my body. I love neutrals. I'm going to wear neutrals. People would have a lot more respect and grace for her boring choice of color and wardrobe if she just owned it. But no, she has to push it off onto someone else. And she does this because it allows her to hold criticisms and failures at arm's length. Because at least publicly, she can claim that it wasn't her idea and it wasn't her fault, even though we all know it was her idea. In her mind, it sort of protects her reputation that she views, that she never really cared about any of those things anyway, and therefore she isn't emotionally or reputationally attached. It's actually quite fascinating, this sort of spin of viewing things from this somewhat delusional perspective. But I cannot wait to read the discussion in the comments. Why do you think she's doing it? Why do you think she's doing this of like pushing things off, but also this whole play thing? Do you agree that she's lining it up to be like, I'm not taking it that seriously, that it failed. It's not a big deal. Nobody cares, because I don't even care. Do you think it's a knee-jerk reaction to the criticisms once she sees them and she can see failure on the horizon coming at her face, that then she starts pushing it away? Or do you think it's to minimize responsibility or out of embarrassment, lack of confidence, perhaps? Can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a happy day ahead. If you have not yet already, go ahead and click that subscribe button, the like button, and the hype button, but only if you want to. Have a happy day, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye.